Hello everyone. So today I'm very happy to be here to be the host of show hosted by John. So this is the special show. So you see, normally I'm be the guest speaker, but today I'm be the host. So today I'm very happy and honored to be here and talk with the very special guys. So he's owner and chairman of Realty Groups, and he's one of the Vietnamese Americans very successfully in not only Vietnamese community but also in America. So today I would like to introduce you guys with anh Long.
My name is Long Don. I am the founder and CEO of Realty Group. This is my 31st year in the business, with my first 15 years on the mortgage side and my last 16 years in real estate. I started Realty Group in 2009, and as an active broker, I closed over 1,000 transactions in my first few years. It wasn't until 2014 when Mike Bernier and I became partners and we started to grow Realty Group as a brokerage. We had 8 agents at the time, and today we have over 700 people on our MOS roster. My role as the CEO is to help strategize and lead our growth. My strength is to connect with people, learn more about them, and help them grow not just professionally, but also personally. And recently, I was named the most admired CEO by the Minneapolis and St. Paul Business Journal. You can read more about my story from our website. But the reason I share this with you is because this is what Realty Group is all about. It doesn't matter where you came from or where you are today. It's where you decide to go next. I and all of our RG team members are here dedicated and committed to help you on your journey.
So I'm very happy to talk with you, anh Long, today. Hi, anh Long.
Hi em, hôm nay anh rất là hân hạnh được dự cái tiệp âm thanh với em. Cảm ơn em đã mời anh.
Dạ rồi, cảm ơn anh Long. Thì anh em mình nói vài câu tiếng Việt ban đầu để mọi người có thể biết với nhau là chúng ta nói được tiếng Việt ha. Rồi sau
Rồi,
đó
cũng
thì
được, cũng
anh
được.
anh qua đây lâu quá rồi nên là chúng ta sẽ nói chuyện với nhau trong show bằng tiếng Anh. Thì anh có gửi lời chào gì với khán giả của Hot Space John cũng như là khán giả của kênh Việt Business bằng vài câu tiếng Việt được không ạ? Cho tiếng Việt
Cũng
thân
được,
thiện.
cũng được. Tất nhiên, tại vì anh em mình mà là người Việt Nam phải không, đã tới Mỹ cũng đã lâu rồi.
Dạ.
Nhưng mà trong Việt Nam mình rất có người muốn làm business hay muốn be entrepreneur gì hết, nên anh với em cũng muốn giúp người ta nhiều, nên anh rất là hân hạnh được ở đây để chia sẻ cái kinh nghiệm của anh với em cho người ta, để tất cả mọi người được học hỏi về giúp người ta được càng nhiều càng tốt.
Dạ rồi, cảm ơn anh Long. Thì chắc là quý vị khán giả nãy giờ nghe anh Long nói vài câu thì đã thấy anh Long đã nỗ lực cố gắng như thế nào để nói chuyện với chúng ta bằng tiếng Việt, đúng không ạ? Để cho mọi người thấy là chúng ta có một người Việt ở Mỹ đang rất là thành công. Thì sau đây Trường với anh Long xin phép nói chuyện bằng tiếng Anh để cho anh Long có thể thoải mái nhất chia sẻ với mọi người. Và nếu các bạn có thể coi show này bằng tiếng Việt mà chúng ta cần có lời thoại thì chúng ta sẽ bấm vào cái nút lời thoại bên dưới, chọn subtitle, có thể chọn bằng tiếng Anh, tiếng Việt, chúng ta thể coi được ha. Okay, thank you, anh
Đúng rồi
Long.
em.
Yeah, thank you, anh Long, again. So we can start our conversation today. So back to the point here. So I'm very happy to talk with you. So you and me, maybe we just met, right? But now we are in the same team. We are the national BOD team of Vietnam. So the biggest Vietnamese association of real estate in the US, and maybe in next few years, so we have the Vietnam Global as well. So back to your job and your business. So could you introduce very quick about yourself and your business to the audience?
Yes, I came to America when I was 13 years old by myself as one of those boat people. I ended up in a refugee camp in Malaysia, Pulau Bidong. In Wikipedia page, it was nicknamed Hell Island and considered to be the most heavily populated place on earth. I ended up in Minnesota because my uncle, who is my father's brother, lived in Minnesota and he sponsored me. That's how I ended up here. I have been fast forward, been in the real estate industry for 33 years now. My first 15 years, I was on the mortgage side, and my last 18 in real estate. I started this company, Realty Group, in 2009, and today we're the #1 independently owned in Minnesota with 800 people and the third fastest growing real estate firm in America in the last 5 years, according to Real Trends.
Wow, excellent. So that's the very good news, and we're very proud to heard about that. And you are on the top of a lot of list of the top 100 magazine, right? So
Yep.
back to your sharing. So
We live or have a business.
why you choose to do the business in Minnesota? Because a lot of Vietnamese, when they come to the US, they choose California, right? Florida or Texas. There's a lot of Vietnamese out there. So why is Minnesota? And do you see any pros and cons out there?
Very good question, Am. So in the real estate business, for the most part, it's still very localized. That means your business will be where you probably live or have a business. Being that in Minnesota, there's not as many Vietnamese people. That's why you mentioned California, Florida, Texas, right? Those states are very good with real estate as well. Of course, the price point is higher, but I decided for Minnesota for many reasons because I live here. And also, people don't realize that Minnesota has almost 20 Fortune 500 companies here. So the
Wow.
economy is very good here. School system is very good here. However, the cost of living is still very affordable. That's why you see a lot of executives are moving here to live. And since COVID, geographically, it's even more open for people to work from wherever. And we are called the land of 10,000 lakes in Minnesota. We actually
Wow.
have nearly 12,000 lakes. So everyone in Minnesota, almost everyone own a car and a boat. So if you like water, people don't know this, Am, but if you like water, we have more coastline because of our lakes than California or Florida combined. So,
Wow.
being the economy is still very good. Our average price point is between $350 to $400,000. So you can see why people love here in Minnesota. Our school system is really good. So, as long as you can put up with the winter, which is not easy, that's why most people, including myself, have a second home in a warmer state like Arizona, Texas, California, or Florida. So that's the reason why I started here. I also saw an opportunity that there's no other real estate broker owner that is successful who is Vietnamese. So I wanted to break that ceiling, and I want to take that challenge on and do that here.
Oh, great. So you know that I like the water a lot, and I like the water sport. So maybe the next time I will have the trip to Minnesota to play with you,
I
right?
will show you around, and you will love it.
Yeah, so that's why it's the biggest question, because you know that a lot of people say that if you do the business, you need to stay in California, right? Florida or Texas. There's a lot of Vietnamese out there, and if we are the Vietnamese, normally we do the business in Vietnamese community, but you are maybe the different one. So that's why I love the way you did.
So I quickly learned that real estate sector account for 17% of the GDP in America. Okay.
Wow.
So because every real estate transaction, there's an average of $113,000 in economic impact.
And back to your business world and professional world, why you choose the real estate? Because you know
Yes.
a lot of Vietnamese, especially a lot of Vietnamese refugee, when they come to the US, they start with nail, right? They start with nail tech, and I have a lot of friends. They are very successful in the nail tech business, and they are the business owner out there. Not 1 or 200 thousand US dollar, but also 1 million, 10 million, 100 million in the nail tech. Especially another one is our Vietnamese strength is a restaurant and Airbnb, right? We are the kitchen of the world, and we have a lot of good food, right? So why you choose the real estate? So it's so strength and not likely like other people in the common decision.
Very good question, Am. So as a business owner, and that's one thing about Vietnamese people, we are entrepreneurs and we're hardworking by nature, right? That's like in our blood almost. So yes, the stereotype is nail, restaurant, engineer, pharmacist, right? That's what we all do. I actually started out going to school for electrical engineer because I was good in math and science.
Yeah, so you and me
Yeah,
are the same background. I'm an
that's
engineer
right,
too.
Em. That's right. And I realized I like people more. So I learned that I like people more. So I wanted to look at people business. So I quickly learned that real estate sector account for 17% of the GDP in America. Okay.
Wow.
So because every real estate transaction, there's an average of $113,000 in economic impact. Why
Yeah.
is that? Real estate commission, mortgage commission, title escrow, mover, stager, photographer, plumber. On an average, 30 to 40 people touches a real estate transaction that makes up 113,000. So I see
Yeah.
a lot of opportunity in that because I look at other businesses, nail, restaurant, how hard you work and
Yeah.
how little money you make. Whereas in real estate, it's a bigger ticket item, right?
Yeah.
So I also like real estate because I also learned quickly that you hear all the time owning real estate is the American dream. Why is that? Well, there are reasons for that. Number one is, according to the Federal Reserve, homeowners have 40 times the net worth than renters. That's
Wow.
why we all need to own home. Yes, there's a disparity in home ownership between the white American and the minority, right? However, Vietnamese lead all minorities in home ownership. Okay, that's something that we should be proud of. So when I look at all those factors, I also learned that 90% of all wealthy people have real estate or because of real estate, right? So besides all the tax advantages, the generational wealth building, there were so many things into real estate that if you're not in the real estate business, you should be buying and selling real estate for yourself. So I got into real estate on the mortgage side the first 15 years, and I transitioned to real estate 18 years ago. And that's the reason I chose real estate.
Yeah, great. So your story is so wonderful and so motivate to other people. And you are maybe the rarely case. So you start with the real estate in the mortgage and later on with the real estate business. So very interesting. So you do look like the left and the right side of the hand, right?
Yep. Well,
Right.
I now also own a title escrow company because that's part of real estate too, right?
Yeah.
So,
So it's mean
yep,
you do on thing on your plate.
yep, that's right.
Right. And
And I did not realize at that point how important a mindset is because I think accidentally I made the right decision. I
yeah.
decided that I was a victor and not a victim. I was lucky and not unlucky. I could have gone through life thinking, what am I supposed to do? I'm the victim. I was only 13. I was a refugee boat boy. I don't know anybody. I don't have anybody here, right? But I decided at that point, and I vividly remember telling myself, put your big boy pants out on and go figure it out.
I know that your successful is so interesting. So a lot of people would like to learn from you, right? So that's why we have this show on Host by John. So a lot of people can learn from you. So back to the beginning time, So along what time you been in the US from Vietnam?
I came to the United States in 1982.
1982. What age are you at that time?
I was good. Yep. So I left Vietnam when I was 13. And after almost a year in a refugee camp, I arrived to United States when I was 14.
Yeah, so you are 14 in
Yep.
82, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep. So,
okay.
yep.
So it's very important thing. So right now, a lot of Vietnamese people come from Vietnam to the US, and not only in the US, because we do the business in North America, like US, Canada, and Mexico as well, and other countries like Europe or England or Australia. So I would like to give the lesson to the people who listen to this show. Why in 82, as 14 years old, you choose doing the business in real estate? So as you mentioned, in the real estate, a very beautiful industry, right? Everybody know that. So the most successful people and the most richest people in the world, so they do the business in real estate. But back to the point, when you are so young and 82, not right here, right? So why you choose real estate? It's by chance or by accident, or you have the decision by yourself, or you have any
Oh,
mentor who help you?
I think one thing I do a lot, and I think you and I have had many conversations, John, as well, is most of us have never really truly sit down and go through this journey of finding who you are and why you do what you do, right? So we call it your why. So a lot of successful people I've been able to work with and hang out with, most of them know their whys. And the people who know their why is will exponentially grow both personally and professionally.
Yes.
So my why started when I was 13, 14. So I did not realize that, John, until in my mid 30s or so, when I was trying to go through that journey to find
Wow.
out my why, right? So it was the night in the refugee camp, my first night. I had tried 3 times to escape by boat.
Yeah.
And I finally made it the third time. And I was 13 years old by myself. And I remember the first night after they checked us in and onboarded us, I found it was a most heavily populated place on earth. 40,000 people in the size of a football field in this refugee camp. So I didn't know anybody, but my first night I found a spot on the beach. I remember I sat there, John, and I remember I looked across the ocean and I started crying.
Wow.
I cried all night, John. It's the first time I ever emotionally cried because as a 13-year-old boy, I've been hurt before, right? I fell. I was disappointed I didn't get something, but I've never cried like that. What had happened was it hit me that I made it, John. And I remember thinking and struggling, well, wait a minute now. Is that a good thing or bad thing? Am I lucky or am I unlucky? Because everyone I knew on the other side of the ocean, I will probably never see them again. And I have not, except for later I'll share with you, both my parents, my 2 younger brothers have reunited with me here in America, right? But everyone else at that point, I was thinking, I probably would never see them again. And I already knew if I made it, I would have to figure out what to do to survive for myself and then take care of my family back in Vietnam. We all have kids. We've all been 13, 14. That's a lot of pressure on a 13-year-old boy, right?
Yeah.
So I remember crying. I felt hopeless. I felt helpless. I kept crying. And finally, the sun was coming up, John. And I could hear people waking up behind me. And I remember thinking, okay, I got to make a decision right now. Okay. And I did not realize at that point how important a mindset is. Because I think accidentally, I made the right decision. I decided that I was a victor and not a victim. I was lucky and not unlucky. I could have gone through life thinking, what am I supposed to do? I'm the victim. I was only 13. I was a refugee boat boy. I don't know anybody. I don't have anybody here, right? But I decided at that point, and I vividly remember telling myself, put your big boy pants on and go figure it out. So I did. I went there. I survived refugee camp. I came to America, lived with my uncle. My younger brother came a couple years later. He also fortunate enough to made it. He made it to Indonesia refugee camp. So when he came to America, we moved out. I raised him from 8th grade to high school. We lived together. I worked 3 jobs while going through the University of Minnesota. And that's how I started out.
Yeah, thank you, anh Long. It looked like yesterday, right? So
I still remember like yesterday.
Yeah, your story is so inspired to me. So I find out that you and me have the same story. So I also left my home when I 14. I always remember that the day I left my homes when I 14. No family, no any relationship out there. So I know that the boy with 14. But right now I'm very thankful. So that time I leave the house soon when I'm 14. Yeah, so I see in your eyes. So maybe you're so emotional, right?
Yeah, I can sense it with you too, John. We share a lot of stuff, and you remember, like you said, like yesterday, right? It was not easy for us. I mean, we struggle, mentally, physically, emotionally, sometimes I sense it right now. I'm emotional about it,
Yeah, I know. Thank you, anh.
We're not strangers to having to work hard to survive and thrive. What had happened in America, you marry that motivation and the hard work and the ethic and the mindset with the opportunities. The opportunities we have here, we take full advantage of it, if not more. I believe most Americans here who are not from somewhere like we came from, they take things for granted. They don't realize the opportunity they have.
I have very big question that I would like to ask the real people in refugee, and a lot of people survive after refugee camp. you know that you also shared to me when we do the business in California together last year and this year. You share that you are the most generation who are successful in the first generation of Vietnamese refugee in the US, right? So
Yep.
I also watch a lot of people, Vietnamese refugee, and most of them are very successful in the US right now. But not a lot of people know that. So that's why on Host by John show, I would like to invite them to be here to share the story with you. So back to the point, could you share with us why a lot of refugee people successful in the business? What is the characteristic and what is the behavior or between the survival, right? Between the life or die. So you have a lot of characteristics. It's a good for business. So could you please share with us?
Yes, you are right, John. Vietnamese has been said to be the most successful first generation refugee to ever set foot in America. And I think that's because of who we are and where we came from. Now, I will talk more about where you came from and who you are in the past doesn't determine who you are now in the future, right? However, it does give you certain things to work with. And I think as the people of Vietnam, we've all have lived generation after generation constantly having to survive and thrive and succeed through a lot of different oppression. You know, all the way go back to history about the Chinese, the French, right? The American, all these other things. We're not strangers to having to work hard to survive and thrive. What had happened in America, you marry that motivation and the hard work and the ethic and the mindset with the opportunities. The opportunities we have here, we take full advantage of it, if not more. I believe most Americans here who are not from somewhere like we came from, they take things for granted. They don't realize the opportunity they have. So most of the time, instead, they complain about why are the Vietnamese people are successful versus realizing the thing we have to do. The other thing why most people don't know about our success is we also work hard, keep our head down, stay out of trouble, and continue to grow. So, you know, that's a reason why I am very happy for you to highlight and share with your podcast audience all the successful people from Vietnam who live here now or in Vietnam, because we can all learn, because we all believe, you and I, one thing we have in common is what we call the abundance mentality versus the scarcity. We would rather share our success than keep it like a secret. And I think that's another reason why we are successful.
Yeah, great. So thanks for your sharing. So you said the right thing, because no pressure, no diamond, right? So
that's right.
When we are in the survival mode, so we have a lot of characteristics to good to do in the business, and also the thing happen with our life has a reason, right? So we have the right side of everything happen with our life. So if the good or bad thing come to us, so we need to turn down it's the right side. So we keep it moving. It's good.
It's because you look different. You're not the same as everybody else. Well, if you didn't have the right mindset, you would think, well, I'm different. Why would she like me? I'm not like her. She's American, Caucasian, right? Beautiful, blonde hair, blue eyes, not like me. But that's proof to show when you are different, it's actually a great thing, which lead to you also need to integrate to the community you are in.
I would like to have one question is for the immigration. You know, that's not only Vietnamese, but also a lot of countries have a lot of immigration here, like Chinese, Indian, right? So Vietnamese as well, there's a lot of Vietnamese who has immigration in not only in the US, but also in other country. So as look like you are the first generation for the immigration to the US. So how can the one people as an immigration to the new country like the US? So we have a lot of diversify, right? So how can we success in the business and also success in the normal life? I know that, and I would like to share with the audience that Anh Long has a very beautiful family and very successful, not only for the business, but also his family and his small family. So can you share with us how to success and survive in the country like America?
Yes, Sam. I think it comes down to the mindset. I know I'm going to keep saying that a lot, right? But one thing that you have to be able to believe in, that you can do anything. And just because you look different or you're not the same as everybody, you have to celebrate that, to see that that is the different is what makes you special. So instead of hiding from it, you need to, highlight it more. For example, I joke all the time. You are correct. If anyone look me up, Google me, you probably can see my family. I have a very beautiful family. My wife is very beautiful. And people ask me all the time, my friend said, you overachieved there, you outkick your coverage, so to speak. But I jokingly ask her a lot, I say, besides, why are you with me? So she did give me a few reasons. One being that you never gave up. You kept asking me to go out with you. I was confident enough to ask her out when other people are afraid to ask her to go out because she would say no to them, right? She's very shy. She's very beautiful, but she's very shy. I kept asking her to say yes, but she also told me, it's because you look different. You're not the same as everybody else. Well, if you didn't have the right mindset, you would think, well, I'm different. Why would she like me? I'm not like her. She's American, Caucasian, right? Beautiful, blonde hair, blue eyes, not like me. But that's proof to show when you are different, it's actually a great thing, which lead to you also need to integrate to the community you are in. So you are living in America, in England, in Australia, wherever that is. If that's your community, you have to fully immerse yourself in it and be part of the community. Because if you're going to start a business and be successful, your community have to like you and trust you.
Yes.
And they can't like you and trust you if you're completely not buying in on what they also believe in. Of course, we can have different in religions and politics and whatnot, but culturally, we have to be a member of the community. And how do you do that? Learn to speak the language better. We all have a little bit of accent, right? It is what it is because we are first generation here. But if you learn to be better at it, it's good at it. Learn to understand the sport that people like, the activity they like to do. Like for me in Minnesota, people like to boat. So I need to understand that culture. Ice fishing, that's not me. I don't think it's fun to sit in the ice to fish, but I need to know how it works. I have done that with people, So these are the things that you need to understand and learn because you have to know your environment and your community so that you can be a part of it, so that people like you, trust you. Then you can be more successful with whatever you decide to do, whether that's a business owner, just a neighbor. So I think it comes down to the mindset and then to be okay with your diversity, but yet to be part of the community at the same time.
Yeah, great. And so you mentioned the very important thing is a mindset. So as a business consultant, and we did deliver a lot of training and consulting for the biggest firm in not only Vietnam, but also in over the world, especially in the US. So the mindset is very, very important, especially the Vietnamese business owner in the US. So they need to change the mindset a lot, right? So you have the very different thing with another one is you have the American wife, right? So
yes.
It's so strange. Normally Vietnamese will marry with Vietnamese, right? So it's maybe you had a different mindset. So it called the critical thinking, right? So you need to think different with another one.
Hi, John. This is Long with New Century Mortgage. Do you need a mortgage? Nope. Thank you. I just hung up the phone on him because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But from then I think again, what should I say next time someone pick up the phone? I did that and I continued to grow, and I then soon became the youngest and the fastest branch manager at the next office they opened in Minnesota. Okay, so back to your original story. How do you learn? You keep learning something you don't know. You keep being better every day, and eventually you will be good at what you do.
So back to your personal life and your professional life. So I know that you are very successful in real estate, right? But there's a term in real estate called if you do the business in the real estate, you do not need to learn, right? It means that a lot of people can come to or jump into the real estate business world. So what do you think about the learning contribute to the successful in the real estate world? And can you share your story about how you invest to the learning or education to be successful in the real estate?
Okay, very good question. I know I'm gonna like beating a dead horse and keep using this mindset thing all the time, but it still go back to the mindset, which is now I'd like to touch on. It's the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset mentality.
Yeah.
Okay, a fixed mindset is result oriented. By nature, many successful people are competitive. They always want to win, right? You want to win in a game. If I golf, I want to have a good score. If I play tennis, I want to beat my opponent. If I play soccer, I want to score. We all want to win, but that is result oriented. So because of that, many business owners take that same mentality into the business. And if they fail because they don't hit their result that they want, they feel like they fail. That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is process oriented versus a fixed mindset is result oriented. So if you have a growth mindset, you can continue to grow while you fail. So which would lead back to, there are three ways we learn as humans. Okay. One is considered the easiest way to learn is by imitation. If someone already know what to do, why do you want to reinvent the wheel? Just go imitate them. In school, it's called cheating. In life, it's called sharing, right? So, I will find a coach or a mentor who already know what to do in the field I want to excel in, and I'm going to go imitate them. Okay, one way to learn. The second way to learn is considered the hardest way to learn is by experience. You have to go through it yourself to learn. You already said, right? Pressure, produce diamond. We went through what we went through. As hard as it is, you might have failed, you might have been hurt, you might have lost out on something, but you learn from your experience. Being with the abundant mindset, if other people share their experience with you, you can also learn from their experience, which is what we're doing right now in this platform, right, John? We are sharing our experience to our audience so they can learn from it as well. So they don't have to go through what you and I have gone through since we were 14. Okay. Yeah. But the last way to learn is considered the most noble is by reflection. You had called it critical thinking. Reflection is where you take everything you have learned through your own experience, someone else's thing you've imitated, and let's see how it works for you. Because one thing I have noticed in America since I've been here for 40 some years is American as a whole is starting to lose their critical thinking skill. They start to believe in everything they see, read, or hear. Instead of thinking, wait a minute, does that actually make sense? Think about it, right? So back to the real estate question you asked me. So when I got into real estate, I wanted to learn. How can I do better? Because we grew up in Vietnam and owning a home is not like here. Okay, here almost everyone can buy a home. When I got into the mortgages, I'm like, holy cow, this is easy, And this is before the mortgage industry collapsed. Because I was on the mortgage side for 15 years. We joke that we put a mirror in. If you can breathe in it to show fog, you're alive, we'll do a mortgage for you. That was the guideline back then. But for me, I was always learning because my goal is to always be a better version of myself from yesterday. Because I won't compare. Because if I compare to you, John, I will be disappointed because no matter what it is, golf, gym, health, business, someone's always better than you and someone's always worse than you, right? That is the definition of being average. You are the best of the worst and you are the worst of the best. So you'll always be disappointed. You always feel inadequate. So what you should do is strive to be just a little bit better of you every day. And that's what I do every night is by reflection. I learn if I've been better, right? But back to one example I learned. On my mortgage industry, my second year into it, I had some good success working at a bank. So I finally stepped out into the mortgage broker world. Okay. So I answered an ad that says, hey, come work for us. We have leads. As you know, in any businesses, leads are like someone that you can reach out to and do business with, right? I was
Yes.
only 23, 24 years old. I don't know a lot of people to be doing mortgages for. So I came to work for that company. And I remember my first day. I asked my manager then, I said, I'm ready to go. Where are my leads? Okay. And I don't know how old some of our audience is or they live in America. But back then, we didn't have cell phone. It was a desk phone. And you used to have to pound your phone, which means to go to do not disturb, right? So you
Yes.
can make phone call out. So I did that. I pound my phone. I asked my manager, and his name was Sean. He looked at me and he started smiling and he reached down. He grabbed this thick phone book. It's called the White Pages. I don't
Yes.
know, some of the audience know the White Pages not back then, right?
Normally we call the yellow page as well.
Yeah, yellow page for businesses. White page is, all the name and phone number of the
Yeah.
residences.
And
And
also at
he's
that time, no Google Maps, right?
That's right, Em. So he said, start with A's and don't leave a voicemail. So I'm like, okay. I started making the call. I'm dialing back then, you got to be home to answer the phone. I'm dialing probably 30, 40 numbers every time a voice machine come on. I just hang up, right? Because I was told not to leave
Yes.
voicemail. So finally, I was about to hang up because it looks like the phone's been ringing too long. Somebody pick up the phone, John. It was, hello. Well, I'm imagining an old lady in her walker was trying to get to the kitchen where the phone was hanging on the wall, right? Because
Yeah.
back then there's no cordless phone.
Yeah.
She picked up the phone because the phone was ringing and she made it there before the answering machine kicked in. So
Wow.
because she picked up the phone, John, I was surprised. I didn't know what to do. I hung up on her. So I feel bad because this lady probably gave it all her all to get to the phone. She's probably excited to talk to somebody. She's been home alone by herself. I hung up on her. But instead of feeling I failed, my growth mindset kicked in. And I go, dang it. Next time someone answers the phone, what should I do? Because I failed the first time, I need to learn from it, right? Same thing, 30, 40 phone calls. Somebody picked up again. Now it's a man. And I can't remember. I think his name was actually John. I said, hello? I said, hi, John. This is Long with New Century Mortgage. Do you need a mortgage? Nope. I said, thank you. I just hung up the phone on him because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But from then, I think again, what should I say next time someone pick up the phone? I did that and I continued to grow. And I then soon became the youngest and the fastest branch manager at the next office they opened in Minnesota. Okay. So back to your original story. How do you learn? You keep learning something you don't know. You keep being better every day. And eventually you will be good at what you do.
Thank you, An. So your story is so inspiration. So your story let me remember my story as well. So as the first time, I and you have the same background is engineering, right? So when we go with the sales and marketing world, so it's so nightmare for us. I'm so scared with a dog. When as the first time when I sales, so my manager said that you need to go with every single house and knock the door. And I knock the door and I see the dog. So in a way, so next time I need to be more brave and I come out the dog and talk with the parent to sell the course, right? And
Yeah.
I learned from your story is successful come with the very consistent, right? But you
Yeah.
are very consistent and you are not only learning on the book, on the course, on the in-house training, but also on the job learning. So you do it the same way I talk with my staff. So you need to pick up the phone and call with your client maybe 30 to 50 times a day, and you can
Yep.
learn from that. But not too much people do that, especially the young people.
Yeah, which is understanding because the younger people have grown up differently with social media and different things, right?
Yeah,
But we have so much technology in every industry now, including real estate.
yeah,
However, real estate is still by far a people business. So it's still about relationship, right? Because we are in the people business. People work with people they like and trust, and they can't like and trust you unless they have a relationship with you.
yeah,
So technology can always help generate, nurture relationship, but it cannot build it for you. So you
yeah,
still have to have phone conversation or in-person conversation with those people to build relationships so you can have them like you and trust you to do business with you.
yeah,
So I encourage all of our people in our industry is to pick up the phone still and make
yeah,
the calls.
yeah. Thank you, An. lot of term that the real estate agent don't need to learn. So what do you think about that?
I don't care what industry you are in. If that's your thinking, you will fail. Even at my level, I'm continually trying to learn.
Back to the point, I would like to share with the audience that one is very special and I'm very proud of, and Long is he's the highest tier of the Club Well coaching, right? The biggest real estate coaching organization in the US. So I need to confirm the very important thing because I hear a lot of term that the real estate agent don't need to learn. So what do you think about that?
I don't care what industry you are in. If that's your thinking, you will fail. Even at my level, I'm continually trying to learn and I'm seeking out people who are better than me. And again, remember, imitation is the easiest way to learn. If you're not hiring a coach in any industry you're in, if you're a business owner, if you're in real estate, you're in mortgage, you're in car sales, you're in insurance, I don't care, right? You're in manufacturing. If you're not reaching out to seek a coach or mentor to teach you to be better, you will fail. This is why you hear the 80-20 rules in most industry, right? Especially sales. And real estate by nature is in the sales industry. In real estate, it's 90-10. The top 10% will do 90% of the business, and the bottom 90% will do the remaining 10%. I'm proud to say I'm the top 10%. I did 1,000 transactions my first couple of years in the industry. On an average, a real estate professional will do 3 transactions a year is the average. Because the number of licensed agents compared to the number of transaction closed, you divide that into each other, it's about 3. Okay, but that's not true. My number one agent here will do about 300 transactions a year. Okay, so why? She's constantly meeting with me to learn how to do more. So if anyone think you don't need to learn in the real estate space, I mean, I feel bad because you will not succeed. You will fail. And especially if you want to grow, you will be plateau out whatever level you're at right now. You might be lucky enough. I would say 2-3 years ago, John, things was really easy in the real estate space. Everyone's buying, right? So your cousin calling you, your friend calling you. Well, now we're going through a cleansing again. I have not seen new numbers yet, but as of end of June, 60,000 real estate professionals already got out of the industry year to date in June.
Got it.
Right? So why? They're not the one who's learning and wanting to grow. And that's what happened.
Yeah, thank you, Long. So that is very important lesson. So you know that not only the US, but also in Vietnam, there's a lot of people do the real estate. So there's a lot of people do the real estate agent, and they have the misconception. They have the want to waste their time and money. And my next question for you is, as the real estate coach at the highest level, you not only coach for the highest production agent, but also for the top broker, right? So I also heard from a lot of Vietnamese broker. They said that they underestimate the people who learn, especially who got the bachelor degree, because they said that I don't have any bachelor degree. I also can very success in the real estate world. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, again, I always share with you, there's different way we learn, right? And I by the way, my reflection time. By the way, most successful people have habits. Okay, they say success is boring. That you use the word consistent. Successful consistently do the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? It's boring. So my habit is every night before I go to bed, I reflect on my day. So how do I do that? I look at my calendar, because if it didn't get on my calendar, it didn't happen. Okay, so that I'm one of those people. Everything goes on my calendar, including our time today. Yeah. And so every night I look at my calendar and I go, could I have answered John's question better on that one? I start thinking about everything I did today. Okay, that's how I think, because my goal is to be better today than I was yesterday, right? So I look at all that, and then I look at my day. Tomorrow, I already start my day the night before. I look, okay, how many meetings I have? Yesterday I look, I have this with you. So I like, okay, what I need to do, gotta be prepared to clear out my background, have my lighting right, have my AirPod charged up, right? What am I gonna wear today? So I already plan for the next day. So when I wake up, I am ready to go, okay? Yeah. So which back to the learning. There's different ways we learn. I don't like to read, okay? That's one of the things I don't like to read. But every night, if I felt like I didn't learn something, I read 15 minutes. I have 3 books always by my bed. I will
Wow,
read
nice.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I've read on an average 20 to 30 books a year when I hate to
Oh,
read.
yeah.
Okay. So I do learn a lot from books. However, one thing about today's world, there's never shortage in information. You can Google anything, you can read anything, right? But the important thing is, do you actually implement anything you learn, right? So this is why you don't have to have a bachelor degree. You can learn from book, you can learn from whatever. But the important thing is, how do you implement and learn from that? And that is when a coach or mentor is immensely important, because they have already done it. And they can probably tell you something you should not be doing or don't waste your time on, or do this instead. They will accelerate your growth personally and professionally tenfold. I'll tell you right now, the money I spent to be coached and the money people spent to be coached by me, the return is tenfold, 20-fold. There's some stats out there that people who have a coach or mentor have 400% increase in production and growth. Okay, I think that is the average I heard somewhere. I'm sure you can confirm that, because that's your line of work too, John. So
Yeah.
I'm disappointed when I hear people say, I don't need a degree, I don't need to learn anymore. That is true, you don't need a degree, but we should always learn. Learning is not only from school or bachelor degree, learning not only from book, learning is from other people experience. So the more you can learn, the more successful you will be, which then will allow you to give back and pay it forward.
Thank you, An, for your sharing. So now, not only me, but also our audience know exactly why you are very successful, right? It's not by chance. It's not by accident, right? So you read 20 to 30 books a year. It's 3 times better than the normal people in the world. So the one successful people read around more than 20 to 30 books a year. And you learn from the reflection. So it's good because the reflection is to help you have the 20% who have the knowledge, right? So you keep learning, and the people who more than 50 like you, so you also keep learning. So why the young generation not learning, right? And I also do the coaching. In this morning, I do the coaching for the people do the Lean Six Sigma as well. So they also mentioned the same to you, that they invest on the coaching, so they get a lot of return on investment. And they wish they could, or they need to invest to the coaching as soon as they can, because they don't want to waste their time and money.
But my analogy is this: we are all, as entrepreneur and business owner, like a pilot of a 747. Okay, I travel a lot, and I think you do too, John. So we fly a lot.
Back to your startup life. At the first time you start the Realty Groups, so from one agent to right now, you have nearly 1,000 agents and one of the biggest firm in the US. So could you share with us the journey and also the lesson learned at the startup life? Because every single step need the startup point, right? Yeah. So as you read my book at my back, right? I have the smart up. It means that you need to smart startup, and from the 0 to 1 million US dollar is very, very difficult. But from the 1 million up to 10 or 100 million, it's not difficult than the first million, right? So could you share with us the first time of your journey, how you build your legacy right now?
Yeah. So before I go into that, I think you and I are very similar in style when we coach or help other people. Is we use analogy and we use story, right, to illustrate our point. So the one analogy I like to use is that all of us entrepreneur or business owner, by the way, I don't care if you're a single solo agent or you own a team or you own a brokerage, you are a business owner. Okay,
Yes.
you are a business owner. You just have a smaller business to start. And in the beginning, it might be you. But my analogy is this: we are all, as entrepreneur and business owner, like a pilot of a 747. Okay, I travel a lot, and I think you do too, John. So we fly a lot, right?
Yeah.
So you will appreciate this analogy. So the pilot will show up, and sometimes I'll wait and I see them walk in. They show up usually half an hour to an hour before the flight leaves. Okay, they walk into the airport, they go through the security and the fast line, whatever they do. They walk to the gate, they get on the plane, and then when I load myself on, I see they're in there going through all of the systems, making sure everything works, right? They do all the tests they need to do. And then they're like, okay, we're looking good. board everybody, and then we get boarded. While we're getting boarded, they still do all their things until we all get seated. And then, they go through, just in case the plane crashes or something, what do you do? All these other things, right? And then they wait until the tower tell them, okay, you're good to leave the gate. They back out. We get on the runway. We wait. You're number 13 until we get to take off. They usually update us. And then now it's our turn to take off. And you start going down the runway faster, 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 faster until you get into the air. And when you get into cruising altitude, then you start cruising. Yeah. That is what we do. All the things we have to do in the beginning at the first $1 to $1 million you are set. Why it's the hardest? Because when you're up in the altitude, you can decide your altitude. Do you want to go high? Do you want to go low, right? It's a lot easier. Yeah. So with that being said, back to the business thing. So system run business, people run system. That's something I have learned early on, okay? Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, we first start out, most of us are just us. So we are the people, right? So what we need to do then is take a look at our system and process to go, okay, how can I improve my system and process first? So specifically in the real estate space for me, it could be anything. Maybe a listing presentation. When do I go? Do I say this? Do I do this first? Is it more effective if I do this next? I start looking at my process system like a puzzle, and I start moving things around to make it better, okay? And then once you have that, the people part kick in, because system run business, people run system. So when you have system and process set up, by the way, system is an acronym, okay? Save you stress, time, energy, money. SYSTEM, right? So that's why we have system. It's in the people part. But most of the time, it's you. You are the CEO, you are the CFO, you are the marketing, you are, accounting, you name it. So then you start taking a look at your system, process, the people, and then when you start to decide if you want to scale. For some people, they never want to scale. They just want to be in their own business by themselves. That's okay too. Nothing wrong with that, okay? But if you want to scale, you start to have to look at how do you then replace the people part. So then you have to start looking at what is the best use of my time. Here's all the items and tasks I need to do. I need to do these 20% of it. That's the best use of my time. Because of that, I can quadruple my effectiveness because 20% of my time, I can do that 5 times, right? Over and over again. And the other 80% of the time, I delegate or I bring in other people to do for me. So I guess go back to your question is I started out as just an individual broker. And that's when I did about 1,000 transactions my first couple of years. I think I was top 0.01% or something in the country, right? Yes. So I developed right away process system. I'll back up 1 second because in the people business, people work with people they like and trust, right? So it's all about relationship. What I've learned right away is if I want to do real estate and I want to do listing, how do I get them? This is the process I go through. You have to have an end goal, John, and you reverse engineer back all the things you need to do to reach your end goal, right? My end goal is I want to do a lot of listing in real estate because I just went from mortgage to real estate. I don't know anything about real estate. Well, this is 08, 09, 2010. And I don't know, some of our audience may remember that's the time we went through this big foreclosure crisis, right? Yep. So I research out and I learned that if I go to Dallas, Freddie, Fannie, HUD, many of the major banks are based out of Dallas. So I remember my kids were younger at the time. I remember telling my wife, Michelle, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. So about every month, I fly to Dallas, $102 round trip, about an hour and a half, 2-hour flight, right? I would go there about 10 o'clock in the morning. I set up a bunch of appointments with what we call asset managers. These are people who manage the foreclosure asset and they need to dispose of them, right? So I would set an appointment with them. I get a coffee meeting, a lunch meeting, a cup of coffee meeting, a dinner, a happy hour, a breakfast meeting. The next day, I fly home midday. I would get 6 to 8 meetings in. I did that for about 3 to 6 months. I built a relationship with them. They become my friends. I know the kids, the spouse, significant other. I asked them, if I was to help you list these property, what are some challenges you were having with other agents? I wasn't asking for the business. I was building relationship first, okay? They like me. They trust me now. They share with me all the things that they wish that another agent could do that would be better. I went back. I create all the process system. Yep. And then I started Realty Group because in Minnesota, I needed 2 years at the time from an agent to be a broker. So once I got my broker license, I called all my friends. I said, I'm ready to go. I went from 0 to 400 listing in 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the thing I'm talking about. How do you build a business in real estate? You can be a solo agent forever. That's okay too. But it's the process, the system you build, and then the people you need to leverage to get to where you need to go.
Yeah, great. So congratulations for your successful. So you said exactly the right thing with our job right now. So we have the great methodology, not only us, but also the American Society for Quality they apply, called the operational excellence, and the familiar term called Lean and Six Sigma, you know. So we also approach, like you mentioned, you know, the mindset to the strategy and the system, the process, and go to the operations. And I do agree with you for the system and the process is very important. So it's also the backbone of the business and also for the people who run the operation, right? And the second one is when we build the business, we need to think about the setup phase and also the pilot, right? We call the pilot phase, and later on is a roll out, and after that is the scale up, right? So back to the thing you share, so inspired to me and also inspired to the audience. I do believe so.
Help people.
The normal real estate agent, that you know a lot of people out there. Maybe I think that more than 90%, they keep the thing, they keep the job as a real estate agent on of the life, right? They don't think about the day they become the real estate broker. You know, in Minnesota, you need 2 years, but in Texas, maybe the most difficult one, they need 4 years with a lot of conditions, you know. Why you want to be the broker, not only the agent, and why you would like to become the business owner, not only the staff or the normal people in your life. Why is it?
Yeah, very good question, Am. So again, at the end of the day, what if your end goal is you reverse engineer back, right? For some people, you can just be the sole agent and do really well and just start buying real estate and build your own portfolio. You will never need to, because that if your end goal is that. For me, legally in Minnesota and most states in America, you have to be a broker to be able to have a company with agents working for you.
Yes,
okay?
for sure.
So that is how most businesses are set up. The reason I want to be a broker is I want to build a business with other agents that I can help do what I did when I was an agent. So that is my passion. So because of that, Realty Group is my platform to give it back and paying it forward with other agents that come and join my company. So because of that, I decided then to help as many people as I can versus only focusing on my own business and build my own wealth. Because I'm a big firm believer that if you help others achieve their dreams, you will achieve yours. So if I just help other people, money will come. I'm not worried about the money, right? I just worry about how I can help people. So that is the reason why I'm passionate about helping other people, and real estate my platform to do that. And to do that as my end goal, I have to be a broker to have the opportunity to provide to other agents under me.
Yeah, great. So what's your vision for Realty Group and also your vision by yourself?
Your business should be unreachable. Because if you think you can reach it, don't even set it. You set it too low, right? So because of that, our vision statement is going to be the top 5 brand in all 50 states.
So yeah, you share a lot about your vision and your mission, right? And why you and Realty Group do the business in the real estate. So what's your vision for Realty Group and also your vision by yourself, maybe in 10 or 20 years later on? So what happened or what next of yours? Because you're very successful right now. So what's next? What's the challenge you will solve in the next 10 or 20 years?
Very good question, Am. So we are the 5th largest real estate firm in Minnesota. Yeah. And because of that, our vision statement, by the way, your vision statement for yourself and your business should be unreachable. Because if you think you can reach it, don't even set it. You set it too low, right? So because of that, our vision statement is going to be the top 5 brand in all 50 states. Wow. 1 state right now only, right? So we are now in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Florida so far. And we're not number 5 in Wisconsin or Florida yet. But that is our vision statement for the business, okay? Yeah. Because again, you have to have an end goal in mind so that you can work towards it. And our end goal is our vision statement to be the top 5 brand in all 50 states. Yeah. Personally, for me, one thing that people don't realize is you got to first help yourself before you can help other people.
Yes.
So you have to grow first, personally and professionally, so that you are able to help yourself first before you can help other people, right? So for me, I would love to, because the mortgage crisis back in 2008, 9, 10, it set me back. I learned from it. Set me back about 5 years, okay? So now my goal was to retire by the time I'm 55. Yeah. Now it's 60, okay? Because I lost 5 years off my goal. That's okay. I'm going to keep plugging around. When I get to that point, I'm able to take care of myself and my family. I would like to shift my focus from maybe running the business at Realty Group to giving back more to whatever that is. And one thing I'm passionate about is some type of coaching or teaching or mentoring. I think you and I have talked a little bit about, some type of coaching together and all this other thing. That's my passion. I do it now to a certain extent, but I still need to focus on growing a business. Someday I'd like to be able to do more of that to people in Vietnam. People are here, anyone who would like to learn, because as long as you want to learn, I will tell you, there are many of us out there who are willing to teach.
Yeah, great. So beside the real estate industry, so you would like to become the professional coach, right? Or the mentor or the consultant, right? So yes. it's very good. So you know that we do the business in the consulting for maybe more than 14 years. So I heard a lot of story about the businessmen. They are very successful. And after they build a legacy in the industry, they need to buy back or pay forward to the community. So they will spend their time and their experience, their knowledge to share with the community. So it's good, right?
To realize that at any moment, don't take anything for granted. It can be taken away from you. And Realty Group may never be around if I didn't get past that time from the very beginning of my business.
Back to the real estate industry. So if I'm the real estate agent or I'm the real estate broker, what is your most valuable advice to the real estate agent and the broker in this economy right now? So how can they successful, maybe not 1 or 2 years, but maybe 5 or 10 years later?
Yes, absolutely. Hire a mentor or coach.
Wow.
Okay. It's a no-brainer, because if you're not investing in growing yourself, how can you grow your business and then help other people? Not only that, but in the real estate industry, we have this term called fiduciary duties. Fiduciary duty is to be able to do what the best you can do for your clients, right? Look out for the best interest, do the best for them. If you are not learning and growing yourself, how can you truly provide the fiduciary duties to your clients? Because I will tell you, I've done thousands and thousands of real estate transactions, and very few I can say is the same way every time. There's always something different. Real estate is not only the largest financial transactions in people's lifetime, it's also the most complicated and complex, okay? So you always have to learn. But it's also not just the real estate part, but it's the business part, because we are in the people business. So you got to also learn how to run and grow a business, but also learn how to manage relationship, because the people part. So there's a lot to learn as a business owner, and you owe not to yourself, but all your future clients that you are responsible to help to be a better person. So no-brainer, hire a mentor or coach, or get with a team or broker that can provide that to you. So absolutely, no matter what level of production you are, 3 transactions a year, 300 transactions a year, you will always need to seek someone who can teach you something.
Yeah, great. So you are right. So that's why a lot of people say that the successful people need to learn from the successful people, right? But your advice not only apply in the real estate world, but also apply in all of the industry in over the world, right? So you need to learn and keep learning. So that's why we call long life learning. So that's why just a couple of weeks ago, so we meet in California. We also keep learning and keep networking, right? And we learn from others. It's very good. So back to your startup journey. So if you can share one of the most valuable lesson learned, or one of the biggest failure when you do the startup. but you never share it before to the audience, never shared before, right? And you would like to share with the host by John audience show. So what is it?
Wow. One thing that people who know me know, I'm very transparent. I
Yeah.
share everything, right? I
Wow.
remember I met a competing broker here in Minnesota for networking because I firmly believe in networking. I believe
Yeah.
a network is a network.
Yes.
Even if you're my competitor, if we are friends, if we ever come across a transaction together, right, we will work better together. And I remember sharing with him some of the success we're having. And he's like, why are you sharing all your secret with me? I said, well, there's no secret. I learned that from somebody else. So I'm just sharing with you now. And I hope you will share that with somebody else, right? I've paid it forward. So let me think of something that I could. Well, I can tell you right now, I think every business owner have been through this. So if they're not sharing it, they either lying to you or they don't want to tell the truth. Is that every business owner have faced at least one time in their business where they potentially could lose the business.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Could
I've
you tell
had
us
that.
more specific?
Yeah, so we just started up. And as you know, you need to invest into your growth, right? Hire people, get office space, do all this stuff. Well, one thing about real estate, it's a very long sales cycle. So when you project that you're going to close 3 transactions by the end of the month, and you're already spending the money, right, to get the stuff you need to do, and the 3 transactions all fell through.
Yeah.
Okay, that has happened and it will. And real estate professional, by nature, most of us will spend the money before we have it. We have a closing already set up. We're counting that 10, 15, $20,000 commission. You already go spend it without it. For me, I wasn't being irresponsible, but it was a business expense I did, right? And I also, part of that expense was to travel to a networking event, okay, that I spent money on to do. And
Yeah.
I came back and I realized, oh my gosh, what's going to happen now? I could be in trouble with my business, have to shut it down because I'm not going to have the funds because all 3 of my closing all happened to fell through. So, so that was a moment that was very humbling for me to realize that at any moment, don't take anything for granted. It can be taken away from you. And Realty Group may never be around if I didn't get past that time from the very beginning of my business.
Yeah, thank you a lot for your valuable advice. So your story is the common failure of a lot of stuff, you know. So like us on way when we do the stuff, we facing with a lot of difficulties, you know. No fun, no college, right? No staff, no customer, no office, no everything, a lot of things. So we need to face it and we need to overcome with this one. Why do you need the partner in the business? Why you not do the business alone? What is the contribution of your partner in your successful right now?
But we also know we can't do both because if you're trying to do both, John, your integrator will tell your visionary in your head you can't do it. If I say I want to do something, if I'm also the integrator, I'm like, well, I can't, I don't have the time, I don't have the resources, it's not the right time. Okay, I will find excuses why it can't be done. But if it's 2 different people and we ended up separating our role, so we flip-flop a little bit, but usually if one is a visionary, the other one becomes the integrator. So when one of us thinks of something, the other one thinks of, okay, now how do I make that work?
Back to your company right now and the way you do the business, one of the things I see is so different is, you know, that a lot of Vietnamese, not only in the US, but also in Vietnam or in over the world, Vietnamese just do the business by themselves, right? So that's why you see their business name by their name, right? Mr. ABC company, Mr. XYZ company, like that. So I saw that you have the very great partner is Mike, right? And what is another strength is he's not Vietnamese, right? So could you share with us about your thinking, about your mindset, why you do the business with Realty Groups with another partner? Why do you need the partner in the business? Why you not do the business alone? What is the contribution of your partner in your successful right now?
Yep, very good question. So first of all, again, it's whatever your end goal is. For some of you, you may not want to grow your business past just you, right? And if that's the case, that branding of your name is okay. But I knew I wasn't going to be just myself. So then I cannot just brand my name because other people coming to my business don't want to be Long's person. They want to have their own brand and want to be part of something. So by the way, we're in a people business. So I'm going to touch on one thing first before I go into your question. It's called the culture code. One thing that I understood and I learned is that in the people business, the culture code is very important. There's 3 reasons why people are with you or your company or your organization or your team. One is they want to feel safe. When they come to be with you, they want to know John and Long is going to take care of them. We're not going to take advantage of them, right? We're not going to do something bad to them. Okay, they want to feel safe. 2 is they want to feel connected. Do I feel connected with John's story of who he is, his background, what he is all about, right? Same with me. That's why I share my story. Not only to tell people if I can do it, anyone can do it, but like, I want you to know who I am. If you're not connected with me, you don't want to be with me, that's okay too, okay? The 3rd reason people are with you is a shared vision or shared future. Like, are we going to lead them to where they want to go? If we're going north, they're going south, it's not a right alignment. We say alignment, right? It has to be aligned to do that. So that's the reason why Realty Group was based out of, which lead to, if I keep doing it by myself, I will eventually max out my resource, my time, and my skill set. Okay, we can only go so far. They say you want to go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go together. And that's the reason. So for me, I needed a partner. There's a concept called rocket fuel, like gas. Okay, rocket fuel. You can read the book, which one of the one I read, or I later discovered there's a YouTube link that only takes 2 minutes to explain rocket fuel if you don't want to read the book. It's essentially the concept is McDonald's, Disney, Ford, all of them never got to where they go until they had a partner.
Yeah.
And all of us are business owners. We are the CEO of our business, whether it's a 1-person shop or 500, right? And most of us, only 1% of all of us CEO can be both visionary and integrator. Okay? Visionaries think up all of the things we want to do. Integrators to make it work. How do we put it all together? One unique thing between myself and my business partner, Mike, is we are both. But we also know we can't do both, because if you're trying to do both, John, your integrator will tell your visionary in your head you can't do it. If I say I want to do something, if I'm also the integrator, I'm like, well, I can't, I don't have the time, I don't have the resources, it's not the right time. Okay, I will find excuses why it can't be done. But if it's 2 different people and we ended up separating our role, so we flip-flop a little bit, but usually if one is the visionary, the other one become the integrator. So when one of us think of something, the other one think of, okay, now how do I make that work? Okay, so the other reason too that I chose Mike is, first of all, I also, as a business owner, and you've done this in our organization, and I encourage everyone to do it, it's called a SWOT analysis.
Yes.
A SWOT analysis is strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, right? So SWOT. Strength and weakness is you personally, who you are. What's your strength, what's your weakness? Opportunity, threat is what is your business can do to take advantage of the opportunity in your market, and what is the threat that could kill it, right? So once you do the SWOT analysis, I realize what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. I also realize, why do I want to limit my business to only Vietnamese people? Okay, real estate is open for everybody. So then I decided then, why did I need my partner to be different than me? Okay, in every way. The way we look, our personality, our strength, and our weaknesses. And that's the reason why I think of things he wouldn't have, and vice versa. Otherwise, we would not be where we are today, right? So it's very important for most of us. Most of us plateau out at a business until we find the right partner. By the way, partner selection is extremely important. I've heard many businesses fail because it's the wrong partner as well. And I'll tell you why. Most of the time, it's someone who's almost the same as you. Well, now you're just scaling your same thing as you, right? You're just trying to duplicate the time you can have, because if you're both similar and the same, your business will not go anywhere because you're the same person, right? So, so I believe a business partner can either take your business to the next level or actually kill your business.
So you are right, because you know that we need another business partner need to different like you, right? And that's why we call the DNI, that's called diversify and inclusion. But you know that a lot of people, especially Vietnamese, they don't like the diversify. They love to work with the people like them, right? So that's why they always have only one pillar, only one them in their business, and they are the most talented people, the most important people in their business. So that's why they always keep busy, right? They always keep they have no time for golf, no time for networking, no time for another one. So sometimes they feel exhausted in their business. So you would like to be the part of the big pie, or you be the small part of the small pie. So it depends on you, right?
Yeah, the analogy I use is like you said it. You can have 100% of a grape or 10% of watermelon. Which one would you rather have?
Yeah, great.
SMART goal is there's an acronym for all this stuff, but one of it is measurable and achievable. Okay, so you don't want to set a goal that you cannot. So I will tell you the reason why we are not in California or Texas yet. 50 state, right? We'll have to hit them eventually, but we are going to prioritize the state we're going first. And Minnesota being a cold state, we have a term for our people. It's called the snowbirds. The snowbirds tend to like to go to Florida and Arizona from Minnesota. Okay, we also know California and Texas are very different, not just in the market, but laws and regulations.
Back to your business, I saw you do very different point. Like you know that you choose Minnesota, right? And now you have 3 states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Florida. Back to my first question: why don't you choose California? Why don't you choose Texas for real estate? You know that California, the house is very high price, right? Texas is a high rising market. A lot of people move from California and other state to Houston, to Dallas, and San Antonio. Why don't you choose that state? What is the niche strategy of Realty Group?
Yep, very good question. As a business owner, you need to learn to plan out your business and make sure that you can implement and succeed, right?
Yes.
So greed, I believe, you should set goal you can't meet, yes, but you should at least set what we call SMART goal, as you know, right? SMART goal is, there's an acronym for all this stuff, but one of it is measurable and achievable, okay? Yes. So you don't want to set goal that you cannot. So I will tell you the reason why we are not in California or Texas yet. 50 state, right? We'll have to hit them eventually, but we are going to prioritize the state we're going first. And Minnesota being a cold state, we have a term for our people. It's called the snowbirds. The snowbirds tend to like to go to Florida and Arizona from Minnesota. Okay. We also know California and Texas are very different, not just in the market, but laws and regulations. Like you already say, Texas is very stingent when it comes to licensing for real estate. Also, the way our model is set up, it's an ecosystem model. I shared with you already, on an average, there's $113,000 in economic impact in every real estate transaction being done. So our ecosystem includes title, mortgage, insurance, right? Real estate, you name it. Well, the most friendly state right now is Florida and Wisconsin because it's a title state. The reason we haven't done Arizona, even though I have a second home in Arizona, is an escrow state, okay? California is an escrow state. So it has additional challenges for the business to go into. So as a result, we prioritize the state we need to go in. That is the easiest and the best for us to grow in because we're bootstrapping and self-funding our growth.
Yeah, great. So you have the very smart strategy. So what we did in our living, right? We provide the strategy consulting for a lot of business. So you choose the very right blue option, right? You don't stupid enough to jump in the red option, right? California and Texas now is the red option, right? And that's why, you know, especially in Texas where I'm living right now, a lot of broker, not only Vietnamese, they compete together by the price. They cut up the commission, so they kill each other. And at the end of the day, they on up the guys who will die. So it's a civic.
And we saw that too. We're like, why do you want to get into that environment when we can do something different, right? And you're totally right. So that is why the decision we made to do it, because we want control growth and we want to be able to have the right strategy.
Yeah, great. Thank you a lot for your strategy.
Anyways, I learned then why do I only restrict myself to only that segment? So to own a business, you need to understand who are your target audience and your consumer, and how do you reach them and work with them. So which is why I don't care if I look different, I don't care if I'm Vietnamese, I have a product and a service to offer, and I want to enlist every right people to plug into my process system to grow my company. And that's why naturally, I have about a dozen or so Vietnamese agents with me, but that's about the right ratio to my company because the number of people who live here.
And one next thing is I would like to share with our audience is Anh Long and Realty Group had a very different approach. You know that he has more than 1,000 agents in a lot of companies, but most of them are the mainstream. It means that most of them are the American, right? And Anh Long, you know that my dreams, you know that before I built the joint partners groups, and I used to work as the high position like senior manager and senior directors of a lot of multinational company. You know that I used to report with the American. I used to report to American on other people, and I wish a day a lot of American will report to me, right? And you did it, and you have a lot of achievement like that. So could you share with us why you choose the approach? Like a lot of people choose that they work in the Vietnamese community, that they have the Vietnamese agent. You choose the different approach. Like I know that just a dozen people in your organization are Vietnamese. So a lot of American inside your organization. So why is it? Why you choose that approach? And what is the pros and cons? Because my honor, and I'm very so proud of you that you are very successful in the mainstream industry, not in so small Vietnamese industry, you know, just 2.5 million people. We have the very big mainstream industry, very big community like that. The market segment is more than 300 million, right? So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, very good question. Well, first of all, I'm in a real estate business. So who are my buyers and sellers, right? Homeowners. So I don't care if you're Vietnamese or you're American, but I will circle back in 1 second. My first 15 years, I was on the mortgage side. And this is when diversity was starting to be new, right, to businesses. Yes. So they were trying to promote it. And my mortgage company found out that I'm Vietnamese, and I was one of I was like, again, I always look for, I do a SWOT analysis without I realized I was doing back then, because I didn't know a lot about business back then. I didn't know I was doing it already naturally, right? So I started at a bank, and it was a consumer lending is what it was called. It wasn't just mortgages. It was like home equity line, car loan, personal loan, right? And I look at the goal, and I look at all the winner who goes on the trip every year, because I want to know who I'm competing against. And I want to learn from them. And I realized you have to do this many car loan, this many personal loan. And I researched out and go, what other opportunities here? Okay, I know my strength and weakness. I want to know what the opportunity, the threat is. The threat is I'm new, I'm the rookie. How can I compete with these people? The opportunity is they're not doing something. And I found out what that was. Back then, they were offering home equity line. Home equity line is the ability to create a credit line on the equity in your home, right? So if your home is worth $300,000, you only owe $100,000 in your mortgage, you have $200,000 in equity. So the bank had this program called Home Equity Credit Line, and they were offering these special, they'll set up the credit line for free, except it's just of the appraisal fee, $300. Or you use the property tax value from the county that you don't have to do an appraisal if that's enough number. And it's nominal fee to set it up, like taxes to set it up, right? A couple $100. I then get on the phone for every bank customer that they gave me the list. I call them all up, and instead of soliciting car loans and personal loan, I asked them when to set up a home equity credit line. They said, I don't need money right now. I said, that's a perfect time to set up, because when you do need money, you may not qualify because your financial situation could change, right? Wouldn't you like to be your own banker? You have a limit up to $200,000 to borrow to yourself anytime you want and then pay back when you're ready, okay? And guess what? It's only $200 to do it. So instead of doing $3,000, $4,000 car loan, I was doing $200,000, $250,000 a home equity line. I ended up being number one in like my second or third month there, and I kept winning every contest for the next 2-3 years I was there. And the second person to me was behind me by millions of dollars. Yeah. So then they eventually start learning, they do all the stuff, right? So because I learned that, what is my product and service, and who are the people who would use them? So I learned that in real estate, that it's not just Vietnamese people. Matter of fact, I live in Minnesota. only about 30,000 people here in Minnesota are Vietnamese. Like you said, 2.5 million nationally, right? Only about 30,000 in Minnesota. That's not a lot when there are over 5 million people in Minnesota. So you take the number, divide out, I'm like less than 1% of the opportunity I'm going to limit myself. So I'm back to my mortgage day. I'm sorry. So my mortgage company found out I was Vietnamese and they want to start marketing me to the community, right? Yes. So I'm like, sure, go ahead and use me. And then, okay, we're going to do ad for you in a paper. I don't know who still do paper ads nowadays, but back then they did. So they bought me like a half page in the Star Tribune, which is a major newspaper here in the Twin City, Minneapolis, St. Paul. That's right. They bought me a whole half page. And I'm like, cool, let's go. And all of a sudden, I got a bunch of calls because I don't know, you know a lot about my story, but my father was a political prisoner and pretty well known. Okay. So a lot of people in the Vietnamese community know who I am. Yeah. I got a bunch of phone call and I was busy working, pounding my phone, and they go to my voicemail. Okay. So I listened to all this voicemail, people extremely mad at me. And I did not realize my mortgage company used the current Vietnamese flag, which is the communist flag. Yeah. Okay. And the Vietnamese community who live in Minnesota are not in Vietnam anymore. And they did not like that flag. Yeah. Okay. So that was a bad experience. I learned that I should have review and audit and okayed it, but I didn't know. I was young. Anyways, I learned then, why do I only restrict myself to only that segment? So to own a business, you need to understand who are your target audience and your consumer, and how do you reach them and work with them. So which is why I don't care if I look different. I don't care if I'm Vietnamese. I have a product and a service to offer, and I'm going to enlist every right people to plug into my process system to grow my company. And that's why naturally I have about a dozen or so Vietnamese agents with me, but that's about the right ratio to my company because the number of people who live here.
Yeah, great. So that's why we so admire with your broker, right? A lot of Americans. So that is a very good story, very good example for another business in the US. So when Vietnamese business owner, you are the business owner, you can think about the mainstream. A lot of opportunity out there. So not only for smaller business group, for Vietnamese only, right?
Generation.
You did share about when you are Vietnamese and when you are minority, right? As I share with other people. So when we are the minority, we cannot change our life, right? we cannot share where we are from. So when we are the minority, instead of we think that it's the weakness, we think it's a strength. Because as you say that you have the free advertising, right, on the paper. So when we are the minority, we have a lot of supporting from US government for the minority, not only for the Vietnamese, but also another one. So can you share with us as maybe as a minority for Vietnamese or another people when they can listen about these episodes like Chinese, right, like Indian? If we are the minorities, how can we overcome the cons when they see that we are the minority in the US society right now? And how can we success in the mainstream business?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, again, back to mindset, do not limit yourself just because you look different and you sound different, right? So what we should do is celebrate our Eastern culture and strength that we were born with us in our blood. Even if you're born here, but for me and you, we're first generation who actually came to America, right? So our kids are second generation. So what I have been successfully learned and done is I want to blend the two. I would not going to say Western, culture and the things that are being done in America is bad. There's many beautiful things, but I also believe many things we bring is also beautiful. So what I have done is I have shown myself as open-minded to learn more about the Western and the American way because I live here now. I'm part of the community. I am now a U.S. citizen. So, I don't know, you remember you went through, John, but I went through the citizenship test. Yeah. And I remember I was in college at the time, and all my college friends would have failed. They would not be a U.S. citizen. They could not answer those questions, right? But I knew those questions because I had to study. So I wanted to learn about the culture of America, sport, music, TV show. I want to be a part of it, and I immerse myself in it versus just go to work, go home, and don't even know what's going on around you in your neighborhood, right? Because I show that I'm willing to learn, I want them to also feel like I'm willing to teach too. If you're going to teach me about the American way, I want you to learn about the Vietnamese way. So when they make fun of me or they treat me differently, I don't get offended. I take that as an opportunity to teach them.
Yeah.
So for example, they'll make fun of my name. So when I first came over, you've been here a little bit, not as long as me because you were a little bit younger than me. But when I first came over, there's a movie came out that called 16 Candles.
Yeah.
If you have not watched 16 Candles, there's a Chinese character on there. His name is Long Duck Dong. Well, my name is Long Dong, but it can be easily mispronounced, right? So my high school friend make fun of me all the time about the name. Instead of me being mad about it, I take the opportunity to tell them, educate them. Hey, by the way, yes, my last name is actually pronounced Doan, but in English, we call it Dong. And my first name, Long, in Vietnamese means dragon. So my name means dragon. So you can call me Dragon or Long going forward. Well, because I took that opportunity to do that, it changed their way to see me. Now I walk down the hallway, they're like, what's up, Dragon? Versus making fun of me. So that's what I'm saying. You need to face those challenges head on and look at it differently. The reason that they treat us differently because they don't know. And people by human nature are afraid of things they don't know. Okay? So why don't we let them know all the things they don't know? And that's what I believe is how we can be successful in this industry. Not only that, you talk about the government have many different programs nowadays. I wish when I started my business, they had that. Nowadays, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a big movement right now in America. I would say, let's take advantage of that. Okay. We work hard. We've been here long enough. Let's take advantage of all these opportunities and learn more about them so we can do it. So our diversity and our different in today's environment and market is a huge advantage for us.
Yeah, so you are great. So as I share with our clients, so you should leverage the minority program in the US government. So you know that they have a lot of supportive for the minorities, like the Asian, like the woman, right? Like a lot of people. So you need to leverage on that.
Everything we have, whatever your market, your service, your product is, everyone needs that. Identify what they are, not because who they look like.
I heard a lot of Vietnamese business. They tell that if you are Vietnamese, the mainstream guys, the American guy, the white guy, don't want to do the business with you. I never meet that before. I never seen that before in my business life in the US.
Same.
How about you?
Yeah, the same. Now, there are certain instances, but I don't like, again, the mindset, right? I don't let that stop me. I look at that as an opportunity because every problem has a solution. Okay, sometimes more than one solution. But if you identify the challenge, you need to come up with a solution. For example, my wife will go get her nails done at a Vietnamese place, right? Here in Minnesota. A lot of nail stores, as you know, a lot of them are owned by Vietnamese. We love Vietnamese food, so we go to places that are owned by Vietnamese people. But when she walk in, she always tell me, God, you know, it'd be great if I know some Vietnamese because, you know, I don't know what they're talking about. So I taught her a few. She come in now, she say, chào chị, chào em. She know all the stuff. She come back and she asked me, and I went with her one time just to get my nails and toes done, just to say hi to them. And I networked them and ended up doing a couple of transactions for them to buy home, right? So then they learned more about her. So she started understanding. They said trời ơi a lot. They said, you know, they now call me chị Tám, you know, So these are all these things that I think American, it's just not because they're American, it's just human nature. Human nature will get very protective of their territory. Okay? And they're afraid of things that can come across as a loss for them. So we need to show them that together we can all get more and do more, but put in the effort. So everything we have, whatever your market, your service, your product is, everyone needs that. Identify what they are, not because who they look like.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Anh Long. So today, you guys can learn about this story, not only from me, but also from Anh Long. So he lived in the US maybe long enough. He successfully in the US long enough, big enough. And he owned a company who has more than 1,000 employees, 1,000 agents. So you see that is a very good, very strong evidence to believe that don't scare or don't be afraid of you are Vietnamese, but you need to proud of that. You need to have a chance, that chance. So in Vietnamese words, we have the word called nguy cơ. It means that in the threatened always have the opportunities. So if you have the opportunities, right? So like you can sell a lot of home for the Navtech, right? You can keep the relationship with them, and also you have the chance to let the American know that also they have the Vietnamese business people who are very successful and can talk with you equally in your business, right?
We got help somewhere. Because of that, I just want to give back. I like to give back more when I can, but in the meantime, I like this to be part of my lifestyle, right? So for me, I mostly focus on the real estate side because that's where my expertise come in. So when you give back by charity, there's different ways you can do it. Money, time, resources, people, skill set, right? Mentorship. So for me, that's the best I can do is my experience and my involvement in it. So
back to another part of your life and your business world. I know that you join a lot of community and a lot of non-profit organization, because not a lot of people Vietnamese who are successful in the business in the US do that. They just focus their time and their efforts on their business only. It's easy to understand. But for your side, you spend a lot of time for the non-profit organization. It's for example, for you join for area. The biggest is a research organization, or you join VNAP, the biggest Vietnamese research organization. So could you share with us what's your vision and what's your thinking when you join the non-profit organization, and why you spend a lot of time to buy back to the community?
I think you talk to all successful people, you, John, myself, people we hang around with, we can always tell you, as hard work and all the challenges we went through, we did not get here by ourselves. Someone helped us along the way somewhere, right? Can be small, can be big. Right. We got help somewhere. Because of that, I just want to give back. I like to give back more when I can, but in the meantime, I like this to be part of my lifestyle, right? So for me, I mostly focus on the real estate side because that's where my expertise come in. So when you give back by charity, there's different ways you can do it. Money, time, resources, people, skill set, right? Mentorship. So for me, that's the best I can do is my experience and my involvement in it. So you have identified a couple of those organizations, but I'm also in other one like Spare Key, organization. I'm in the realtor associations here. I'm in different organizations, but they're all somewhat related to my industry, real estate, because I'm a practitioner and a professional. So what you brought up is an important point that you should be involved and engaged in your profession in many different ways. Learning, giving back, being part of the organization, join the realtor association in your state and in your local area, join networking group, join investment group. Whatever it is, a network is a net worth. And every time you get the opportunity to learn from somebody, you learn it. I will tell you many times, John, I know you are the same. Many times I show up at an event, I don't always learn the new content because I will say you and I have known a lot already. But many times it reminded me of things I forgot. I'm like, duh, I know that. Why am I not doing that, right? Yeah. But even more important, I meet the people. Yeah. Because the people is where opportunities will come. Because not just the 3 people you met at an event, they each know an average of 200 to 250 other people that they may connect you with. So, so being part of organization to give back also allow you the opportunity to network. And when you give back, what goes around comes around. When you give back, you seem to get back, usually tenfold. So the organization you with to give back in charity, they now want to know, thank you, Long, for doing that. How can we help you? Oh, by the way, my cousin's looking to buy a house. Maybe I should call you, okay? So it's a whole big picture thing.
Yeah, it's a very good approach and very good thinking. Think about that. So that's why we see you a lot in a lot of community works, especially for the volunteer, the non-profit, right? But I need to ask very straightforward question because I receive a lot of questions from the Vietnamese business owner. They think they need to receive first and they need to give back later. Or secondly, when they do the volunteer, or do the any look like charity. They need to success first. They need to be rich first, and after that they can pay. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think many culture and background, Vietnamese, Russian, African people who come to America, where we came from, most of our life have been spending to survive, right? Because it's such a hard environment that we live in. We learn to survive, because to survive, then you need to get as much as you can to yourself to survive, right?
Yes.
So we're used to getting things so we can survive. So once we get to that certain point, it's the Maslow hierarchy, right? You have to have your basic need met first. And for those who haven't learned about that, I encourage you to take a look at it. But it's the way we're built as people. So we have to take care of a basic need first. At some point, we got that. We need to then go, okay, now that we help ourselves, how can we help other people? Because until we truly believe by helping other people, we're actually also helping ourselves. Because all of these have different effects, right? So that's a mindset that Vietnamese people are weak in, I believe, in the SWOT analysis, if they ever do it for themselves. I notice a lot of Vietnamese business and Vietnamese organizations are very divided. They're small. If the right mindset come about, a couple of these organizations join together, it'd be one big company that can do a lot of good. That is my motto at Realty Group. I have many small brokerages that join me, so together we can be stronger. And that's the vision I share with them. I said, why do you want to pay your own CRM, technology, support, space, E&O insurance? Why don't we all join forces and then still together grow a business? Because the abundance mentality is there's plenty of business to go around to get out there. Okay, so that's one thing Vietnamese people I love to help every time I get to is let's get your mindset changed. Okay, we are very fortunate to be where we are, and we have more than we think we need. So if you start to give more, funny thing is you will receive more.
Thank you for your sharing. And back to your story about the Vietnamese community, you said that we are so divided, right? So maybe some time ago nearby, so you may also involving and engage in some of the Vietnamese organization or Vietnamese community like Vietnam, or we just attend the Test of Vietnam, right? We are so proud and so emotion when we join that event like that. So what if you can provide one message or one advice to the Vietnamese people in outside Vietnam who help us more united, right? So we can work together. So what's your advice or your message?
Yeah, reach out to other successful people in whatever field you're in. And instead of looking to them as a competitor, look into them as a partner and a collaborator. Like reach out to them and offer something. Remember, don't take first. What you should always do is we call them the equity, the equity bank. Okay, you have to build equity first. The way you can build trust equity is by giving first before you can take, right? So for me, I always reach out to my competitor and I always offer to give something first. Hey, how can I help you with this? I see you have an agent that's struggling with this transaction with one of my agents. Can I help make that deal go smoother? I will always offer something first, because until you give, you cannot receive. It's better to give than receive. So I encourage our Vietnamese people to start changing the mindset and start thinking of all the people out there instead of being the mentality of scarcity, have an abundance mentality where you want to reach out and see how you can help your competitor, your enemy that you think now, because you will be surprised. Your biggest enemy may become your biggest partner in the potential future.
Yeah, very great message and advice. So your strategy is also our strategy when we approach. So that's why our company name joint partners. We don't have any competitors. So we call every single one is a partner. And your strategy mentioned called lose-win strategy, right? We always find out the win-win strategy, but it's not easy. We need to lose first and we win later on. So the win later on is a very big and bigger than
country Vietnam, right?
So back to my previous question. So we just have some minutes to ask you to talk. It's a very long conversation. So I think that maybe it's the longest conversation you did in the past, right? So back to the first question about the refugee, right? So we talk about Vietnam. So you know that Vietnam is now one of developing country. So in the previous month, the relationship between US and Vietnam is rising, right? It's better and better. So do you have any moment in your life think back about Vietnam? Do you teach your children about Vietnam? And maybe in the future, maybe 10 or 20 years, I don't know, you think that you come back to Vietnam to do something, do the business, do charity, do anything about Vietnam to make the Vietnam be stronger, be better in the future?
Yes. So again, because I love to give back and pay it forward. So for me, I think Vietnam has great opportunity because as relations improve within the US and Vietnam and many other countries, Vietnam, right? People want to go to Vietnam to invest. And one advantage we have is people start to go away from China to come to more like Vietnam, Indonesia, Japan, right? So we started to see more products made by Vietnam. I think the shirt, if I look in the back, I believe it made from Vietnam. So,
Right.
so with that being said, there's many opportunity, and real estate is one of those. It's like the wild, wild west there. People start to think about real estate, but it's not the way it's set up here. There's no structure, there's no infrastructure, there's no, how things are set up to work, and there's no rules to play by, So I would love to, number one, I'd love to, my kids are older now. With my father's situation, we didn't feel we were safe to go back to Vietnam, but I think we are now. I'd love to take them back to Vietnam to share with them where I came from, show them whatever, but I'd love to be involved in whatever capacity is to travel back to Vietnam to help businesses, maybe start a business in Vietnam. So all of those are not out of the question, but at the end of the day, you still have to focus on certain things. And my focus for the next couple of years, 2 years probably, where I have an end goal for a Realty Group to grow to a certain size and then to hand it off to somebody else to do better, then I can focus on that other thing. So that is a different phase of my life that I am interested in, and I'm excited and look forward to.
Great. So I do know that you also have the very big project called Vietnam Village in Florida, right? So I think that in your mind, also in your memory, also think back about Vietnam. Vietnam here is not only the physical one in Vietnam, also the Vietnam in their mind. And wherever we have Vietnam or Vietnamese or whatever culture, food, taste, right? About the recess, you also mentioned that in Vietnam, it's the infrastructure may be lower and it's keep rising. And last week we have the first episode of Shark Tank in this new season, right? And we also have the startup in the product, and unluckily they didn't receive any investment from the Shark Tank because they do so fast. They do the product look like Zillow or Redfin in the US. If they are in the US, maybe they're very successful, but in Vietnam, it's very difficult.
So when you invest in anything, you just got to look at the return and the risk, right? So if the risk makes sense, the return makes sense, of course you want to invest. But if it comes down to two different projects and one of them could help the Vietnamese community, I would lean that way. So the answer is yes to your question. I just want to caution everyone, just make sure you get with people who are good at what they do and know what's going on to make sure it's a right investment.
So for two questions, one is investment from the US to Vietnam, or the second one is Vietnamese business in Vietnam would like to invest to the US. Do you have any recommendation or do you have any advice for them to leverage the opportunity right now? Because the relationship between Vietnam and the US now more closely, and we see it's a very bigger, and we see that the very high commitment from the PM and the president of the both country right now.
Yeah, as an investor, you have to think two things. Do you want to give back and help the Vietnamese community continue to grow and be proud of our people, right? And then there's an investor part of it. So when you invest in anything, you just got to look at the return and the risk, right? So if the risk makes sense, the return makes sense, of course you want to invest. But if it comes down to two different projects and one of them could help the Vietnamese community, I would lean that way. So that's how I would answer it. I would look at all investment to make sure it's a smart investment, it's a good one. And then I would go, wow, if it's from here to Vietnam or from Vietnam to here, as long as they help the Vietnamese community, that's an extra bonus. So the answer is yes to your question. I just want to caution everyone, just make sure you get with people who are good at what they do and know what's going on to make sure it's the right investment.
Yeah, so you guys as the audience, so when you see or you listen about this episode, so you know that you can find out a guy who can help you to invest not only in Vietnam but also in the US, especially in the real estate world, right? So we are discussed in nearly 2 hours continuously, right?
So for me, I don't care what it is in your personal life or professional life. At the end of the day, you have the choice. If you don't like where you are today and didn't like your past, I guess what I'm going to say is you cannot time travel back to the past to change anything. So leverage that as learning opportunity. And then where you are today, if you're not happy, change it, because you get to determine your future by making one of these three choices. And the choice is yours, where you want to be.
So maybe the last question for you, if you send any message to the audience for hosted by John or the business, so what's the message you send for the last sentence?
I think I'll end with kind of a mindset thing again. I believe our life is nothing but a choice theory. I learned about the choice theory several years back, and it made a lot of sense to me. The choice theory states that there are only three options every time we face with any decision we need to make. Choice number one is change nothing. Do nothing. Keep everything the same, right? Sometimes that is the right choice, but most of the time, it is the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you change nothing and you don't like what you're doing, well, that's not the right decision, because it's going to continue to be the same result, right? The second option is to change what you think, okay? Because everything starts up here. So if you choose the second option, you need to start thinking, instead of I can't, you start thinking, how can I? Okay, so that's the next thinking. And the third option you can choose, and most successful people choose the second option first, and then they go to the third option next, is change what you do. Okay, if the thing you're doing is not working, go find someone who can do better to teach you, or change what you do. So for me, I don't care what it is in your personal life or professional life. At the end of the day, you have the choice. If you don't like where you are today and didn't like your past, I guess what I'm going to say is you cannot time travel back to the past to change anything. So leverage that as learning opportunity. And then where you are today, if you're not happy, change it, because you get to determine your own future by making one of these three choices. And the choice is yours, where you want to be. And listen to more podcasts from hosts by John and others that will help you change your mindset so that you can do. I will end with this last thing. I love acronym because how I remember things, John. So at my company, Realty Group, we have an acronym called LIFE, L-I-F-E, right? What is life all about? The circle of life, we call it. Life is learn. People are learning right now what we're talking about. But 92% of people fail to never achieve their goal because they never implement, which is I. And guess what? When you implement, most of the time you are going to fail, which is F. But only when you fail will you evolve and grow, which is E. So life is learn, implement, fail, and evolve. And that's the last one I will say, because I get people ask all the time, what's something you would recommend people do more of? I would say I fail many times, but I wish I failed more and I failed faster.
Okay, thank you, An. So that's why you mentioned the last sentence in my. You see, there's a fail fast, learn fast. Yeah, so you have.
We did not plan that, right, John?
Yeah, you and me do not plan, so you just say it, and it's a print on my class. You see, and it's the gift. So I wish I can give this gift for you. Maybe next time we meet in person, I will give this one for you. This is a gift from John and partners to give on up the student and our partners. Okay, so we love the life you mentioned, and you know that we also have the company, the partner have the core values called life. Yeah, it's very good and very easy to understand. And thank you, Long, a lot for your time. So we talked nearly 2 hours. So a lot of valuable ideas, a lot of very good advice, and very emotional and inspiring story shared to us. And thank you a lot for your audience, and thank you a lot for your time to watching us. So we do believe that in 2 hours you listened about Long and me. So you did learn a lot. And if you see this episode is good for you, so feel free to share with others. Press like, share, comment if you have any question for us. Thank you again for watching and looking to see you in the next episode. Thank you.